AskReddit by I am Terrian. Serious, Americans, would you be in support of putting a law in place that government officials, such as senators and the president, go without pay during shutdowns like this while other federal employees do? Why, or why not? At face value I would think it's a good idea, but I saw someone pointed out a rather logical reason why it wouldn't. Basically the wealthier representatives could wait out the poorer ones. Worse yet, the representatives whose lobbyists have the bigger pockets can keep them afloat. A better solution would be to cancel recess for everybody involved. Edit. Just to clarify, removing recess means that the Senate cannot adjourn. Or better yet, prevent the Speaker of the Majority Leader from being the sole person who can call a vote. Mitch McConnell has prevented the Senate from voting on a bill that the Senate approved 100-0. No one person should have this power. I would prefer that Congress can't leave the Capitol until a budget is passed. Make it like how they select a pope, lock them in the Capitol building until white smoke appears. Edit. Holy shit guys, I struck a nerve. I'm glad I'm not alone. I think that could turn into a game of big bank little bank. The wealthiest politicians could just wait out those with less money in order to get their way. Deleted. The whole reason they don't already is because then the richer congressmen would use it against the poorer ones. Terrible idea. In Canada, if a situation like this happens, rather than a shutdown, an election is triggered. If the government can't do their job, then everyone gets removed and we vote new people into office. This way, the government will avoid these situations at all costs. I'd rather change the law so that not passing the budget defaulted to a continuing resolution. There is no reason a shutdown should happen. Deleted. No, but I'm also against allowing critical federal employees to go without pay. I think if they are required to work, we should be required to pay them. Regarding the why not of politicians, we are finally starting to get some who aren't coming from wealth. I'd hate for those people to get pushed out because they can't afford to be politicians. I want to see more representation of working and middle class people in our government. Obligatory update. Thanks for the silver, kind internet stranger. Agreed completely on this. If they are being forced to work, they need to be paid. Can you imagine working any other job where they forced you in and didn't pay you? There would be an uproar. Deleted. Except that would allow minority party to force a new election in the Senate anytime. I personally like the Canadian system. If their legislature ever fails to pass a budget, they've failed at their primary responsibility of running the government. Failing to pass a budget is treated as a failure of confidence, and a general election is triggered whereby every parliamentarian must face their voters and re-justify why they should have a job. And X200B. Not saying that would force all US legislators to act, but it would probably incentivize enough to avoid stupid shit like this latest shutdown. Canada also keeps paying their workers during a shutdown. Government stops? It's just another day at the office because they keep getting paid. The next budget isn't going to phase out essential services, so there really is no reason to not keep paying people. Deleted. I support a law that ends shutdowns by continuing funding at previous levels if no new budget is passed. Deleted. I like the idea, but I don't think it would do a whole lot. First, there would be some constitutional issues with regards to the 27th Amendment. I think you could phrase it so that you can comply with the 27th Amendment, but there would certainly be court challenges that you would have to spend time and energy fighting. Beyond that, though, senators, representatives, and presidents aren't really dependent on their salaries. The majority of them are either independently wealthy or make a ton of money off capital gains, i.e. investments. I don't think holding their salary would change their standard of living in the slightest. I'd be more in favor of holding an impromptu election like other countries do. If a Congress can't work together to keep the govt open at a minimum, why not revote and whoever the public decides is the problem gets thrown out? Here's the thing. I only think it would work if you eliminated income from all sources, that is investments and outside revenue streams. Basically you'd have to put a freeze on the bank accounts of the politicians during a shutdown, and you'd never have one again. At least half of our members of Congress have such wherewithal that their congressional salary is meaningless to them. The cost of voting to shut down the government should be the calling of new elections. No corrupt politicians would have advantage over honest ones. Honest ones might find it easier to get money illegitimately than to solve the shutdown problem, which corrupt politicians would love. How about instead of a shutdown, no one leaves the room until shit gets resolved? And honestly, calling it a shutdown is such bullshit. All the employees, who aren't getting paid right now, still must come into work. They still take taxes out of my paychecks. The military is still doing its military thing. The border patrols are still patrolling. The USPS is still shipping packages and mail. If the government was really shut down, none of that stuff should be going on. Now there is an idea, the government shouldn't be taking my money if they can't pay the people that work for them. Edit, the USPS is not appropriated. They are self-funded through postage fees. I'm generally in favor of the idea that Congress should be bound by every law it passes. They get to use the things they pass for the rest of us, healthcare, the retirement, hiring practices, etc. No exceptions for the special people. Absolutely not. As others have said, the problem with anything that punishes senators financially is that it encourages wealthy people to get involved in politics, and discourages less wealthy ones or leaves them dependent on wealthy patrons, which is even worse. Instead, when the government fails to pass a budget, everything should continue at previous levels, maybe even automatically increasing for inflation. This is not ideal, but defaulting to the status quo is far superior to having everything grind to a halt. People who want to implement changes should have to get support for them and shouldn't be able to use shutting down the government as a cudgel to try and force them through. Deleted. The tons of long-term millionaire congressmen would love to hamstring the newly elected like EOC that truly depend on their salaries in such a way. Knee-jerk reaction is yes, but actually it would be more leverage for a manufactured shutdown. Yes, I also think they should have to purchase insurance through the same markets as everyone else. I also don't think they should be able to vote for their own reasons. How about we don't pay taxes during a shutdown?